Okay, so the election. Something popped up on my screen. I hate it when that happens. So now my train of thought is shot for the day. That's okay, I'll come up with another one. So I'm watching the election returns in New Hampshire. And I don't know what it is with all these talking heads. They dance around things, or they just don't think clearly. Somebody is putting stuff in their ear to say. And the big thing is, well, why is Nikki Haley not dropping out of the race? Well, her path for the nomination, it looks like it's blocked, but then again, something could happen, and her staying in the race has nothing to do with a present path to the nomination. Nothing. If you were just looking at that in terms of pure politics, which is what they do, how many delegates are elected from which state, and what states does Trump have, and how many delegates can he have, and Super Tuesday, yada yada yada. Now, what are they missing in that analysis? Let's see how smart you are, because if you can't answer this question, I'm not going to send you the $10,000 check I was going to send you. Yeah, I know, the last one bounced, but hey, come on. Well, I'm a new man. I've seen the error of my ways. No more bad checks to my followers. I mean, that last one cost me, if people had cashed those checks, I probably would have lost $5. So, but they didn't. Couldn't. I didn't have that money in the bank. Now, I do. So it's $10,000 if you get this one right. If you don't, I'm fining you $10,000. Yeah, that's right. 10,000 big ones, or 10 big ones as we call it in my neighborhood. So, here's what they're missing. Donald Trump is facing, on March 4th, he's facing a massive federal charge for attempting to essentially throw out the election returns, interfering with the delegate selection process. Not the riots, the delegate selection process. And that's now scheduled for trial March 4th. That's, well, yes, but the Supreme Court is going to, and then right now there's a question, he's raised this in the Supreme Court, can he be prosecuted for anything because he was present when he did all these things? And if the Supreme Court takes that up, yada, yada, it's going to delay, and of course this is the conventional wisdom by a bunch of people who've never tried a case in their lives. The case is presently stayed, but the trial date hasn't been moved. In the meantime, the federal prosecutors have sent all of their data and information voluntarily to Trump's lawyers, who, guess what the Trump's lawyers did? They complained about that and said that violated the court's order about the stay being in place because they don't want to look at them. This was actually a very clever move by the prosecutors, because what happens is they send you all of our discovery, because most of the time that people claim is they don't have enough time to look at all the discovery material. So the prosecutor said, we're giving it to you now, even though we don't have to. It's yours. What are you going to do? Tell the judge, I had it, but I didn't look at it? I don't think that's going to go over too well with the judge. The judge is going to say, well, you had your chance. No one was preventing you from looking at it. It was in your possession. You had all this time to look at these, and you didn't, and now you're coming in and saying you need more time? Denied. So they effectively cut off that path for an extension of time for that trial. Now, this case went up to the circuit court, which denied the request, and I think they denied the request for en banc, which means the next thing they have to do is take it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can take it or not take it. But while that's pending, because that takes a while, you've got a certain amount of time to file a motion to ask the Supreme Court to take the case, and they take their time deciding whether or not, and that could run out the clock. You could find out that all these things are ongoing, and the election has already taken place. On the other hand, the Supreme Court doesn't have to stay the case. They don't have to take the case. But while the petition to the Supreme Court is pending, which takes time, the trial judge can go forward. And she can say, we're going to march forward. you've already got your discovery, so you can't complain about that. And if you have any motions that you need to file, go ahead and file them now. I will hear them while we're waiting for the Supreme Court to determine whether or not they're going to take the case. We're going to keep this case marching forward. That's what that judge in D.C. can do, the district judge. Up to the district judge. Because the stay didn't come from the Court of Appeals, the stay hasn't come from the Supreme Court. It came from the district judge, and the district judge can remove that stay or modify that stay in her discretion. And I think that this district court wants this case to move forward. So if that's true, Trump could be facing a trial way before the Republican convention, and before the Republican convention, he could be a convicted felon. That's very possible. What happens to his candidacy if he's a convicted felon? Well, I've had people say, well, the Constitution doesn't say a felon can't serve as president. No, that's right, he can't serve as president. As a practical matter, he can't get elected president either. And the Republican Party does not want to go forward marching toward victory with a convicted felon as their standard bearer. And all the polls have shown that even the majority of Republicans would not support Trump if he were a convicted felon. So if he's a convicted felon before the convention, first of all, knowing his personality the way he is, should he be convicted, he'll come out and start ranting and raving in an incoherent manner. He'll have a meltdown, and he might have to be hauled away by the men in the little white coats. Or they have to put him in a white coat. I forget which way it is. Maybe they're all wearing white coats. It's fashionable that time of the year. And I know. Look at me. So, I heard that. So, anyway, the Republican Party would undoubtedly dump him, or he'd just simply withdraw himself. And if that happens, they gotta look somebody else. And if the only person standing is Nikki Haley, and incidentally, by that time, especially after what I predict, his emotional meltdown, everything she's been saying about his mental capacity will be shown to have been true. And if she's still out there, she can step right in. Now, Chris Christie can revive his campaign, and so can DeSantis, DeSanctimonious. But the reality is, Nikki Haley can say, I'm the only one that stayed in there. I'm the only person standing. You got to give it to me, and there's a good chance that would happen. So that's why she's not getting out of the race. I didn't hear that analysis from anybody. They're all talking about this as though these pending trials didn't even exist. The pending trials are the reason these people got into this in the first place. They were hoping that Trump would be convicted of something. And sure enough, there's a good chance he will be, because that case, in my opinion, that's just my opinion now, is a slam dunk. And he will be convicted of a felony if that goes forward, particularly in D.C., where he's not going to find a very favorable jury. And he can complain about that all he wants, but it's not going to change people's minds. So that's the point that these people are missing. And if you've watched this, you now have a lot more sophisticated understanding of the process going forward than do the talking heads. Okay, I'm going to turn this off now because I'm still working on another case. I'm still working for a living, believe that or not. And I've got to wait through 1,000 pages of documents before next week. So wish me luck. If you don't hear from me again, it's because my mind exploded. Bye.